Claire. Claire Bear. Wakey, wakey. Claire. 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 Claire Bear. Claire, wake the hell up.
What?
Claire.
What?
Claire, we gotta do a review today.
What review?
Oh, I don't know, maybe Labyrinth?
What?
Yeah, we were gonna do Labyrinth today.
Why didn't you tell me that?
Didn't occur to me.
For fuck's sake, come on.
Alright, let's do it. Alright. Hey folks, Thomas McClelland here.
Thomas McClelland.
And today we're going to talk about the Jim Henson classic, Labyrinth.
Alright.
Finally, we get to finally do a film with David Bowie in it.
He's the man.
He is the man. But before we talk about David, let's see. Now, first of all, we got to talk about how this film got started, pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, I forget the name of this guy, but he was this fellow was how do you explain it? He was an artist, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a lot of old, weird fairy tales that kind of felt like a mishmash between H.R. Geiger and the Brothers Grimm, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of sort of drawings for children's books, basically, that talked about fairy tales and stuff. And apparently, Jim Henson saw these designs and he really liked them, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So he wanted to make a movie with him that would help basically show off his art style in a way.
Right.
And, here's a bonus, him and his wife had a kid, actually. And ironically, guess who that kid would be?
Who?
The baby.
Really?
Yes, that's the baby in the film.
Toby?
Toby, that's their kid.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, they were kind of somewhat almost afraid that the kid would get hurt in a couple scenes. Especially that scene with the upside down everything going on.
Oh, yeah.
Because that ledge, that was a real ledge. Thankfully, the baby wasn't hurt. But, besides that, let's talk about the crew for this film.
Right.
We already know that Jim Henson is the director of this film.
There were a bunch of, other people, too, actually.
Like, guess who produced this film?
Wasn't it one of the Monty Pythons?
No, George Lucas.
Really?
Yeah, George Lucas produced this film.
Oh, boy.
Don't worry, there's no soliloquies about sand in this one.
Thank God.
But, guess who one of the writers was on this?
That would be,
Terry Jones.
Terry Jones.
Yeah, Terry Jones was the writer on this film.
Yeah. I figured, because there's very, Monty Python-esque.
Yeah, shenanigans going on. Especially with how the goblins behave and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I think, before we get to the goblins, though, let's talk about our main character in this, Sarah.
Yes.
I
will admit she is
a bit annoying at times.
Very annoying at times.
She complains a lot.
My question for people in Hollywood, is this really what you want people to think of teenagers?
Especially teenage girls.
You really think all teenage girls are like this?
I mean, you gotta hand it to Jennifer Connelly, at least. She was still pretty interesting, even back then, pretty much.
I'm gonna say she's still interesting.
I mean, she doesn't do much now, but back then, damn, she was good.
Yeah, and I thought she was very beautiful in this film.
Yeah. Oh boy, was she.
Okay, pervert. She was 16.
I know, it's wrong.
So she's underage.
Don't remind me. I feel like I'm gonna get arrested now for saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, she can be a bit annoying. But at least when she's interacting with the world, it actually feels somewhat organic. Actually.
Yeah, that's true.
She's trying to figure out everything pretty much. And I kind of feel like this film might be a metaphor for puberty or something like that.
Oh, it's more than a metaphor, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
It's girl porn.
Kind of, yeah.
Not kind of, yeah. Especially that whole masquerade scene later in the movie.
Ooh, damn. So many uncomfortable overtones with that one.
Yeah, but...
But besides Sarah, let's also talk about what drives her in this film. Sure, it might be basically to get her brother back, but I think it might be another thing. You think it might be basically with the, whole puberty thing? It might be basically the idea that she has to prove to herself that she can be a more mature adult, pretty much.
I think it's more of becoming more less childlike and giving up a lot of like childish like thoughts, dreams, actions, manners, and becoming more of a mature adult
Exactly.
as she enters through adulthood.
In this case, adulthood is a creepy Alice in Wonderland on acid scene, pretty much.
Well, that's because a lot of the times puberty is very confusing for a lot of people. It's a hard time because your body's going through all these different changes. Your mood swings are like off the chart, and like you really are just so frustrated, confused, scared even. And in other cases, it's very depressing.
And also, I love the scene where we see her shelf. If you look really closely at the shelf, everything on the shelf is something that we later see in the film, actually.
That's true.
Except for the Judge Dredd comic book. That'd be weird, pretty much. You would hold Jareth by the throat and say, "You're not the law. I'm the law." And stuff like that.
Yeah, what can you do?
I don't know why they put that in there, pretty much.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we don't dwell too much on her parents because they're not really important, pretty much.
Well, that woman is technically not
Her mom.
It's a stepmom.
Oh, jeez, the evil stepmom stereotype.
I kind of feel bad, but at the same time, her stepmother, is kind of demanding.
Yeah, they're not really dwelled upon too much because they don't really have much of a character arc, really.
Exactly, and I feel like...
Her dad doesn't even do anything, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
But, besides that, let's get into the interesting stuff.
Yes.
And we'll start that interesting stuff with the man himself, David Bowie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, David Bowie, yes. I don't care if this was 1980s David Bowie, he was still charming then.
I was gonna say, he was very charming in this film.
I mean, he's got more characteristics than the main character, pretty much.
Like, you feel more sympathetic to the villain rather than the protagonist in this scenario, almost.
Even if you can't ignore the fact that he kidnapped a baby and is trying to make a 16-year-old his bride.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, pretty much. But you know what? Screw you. David Bowie is so charming, he could take me to his magic castle if he wanted to.
He can take me anytime he wants, so yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace, you rock star. But, favorite thing about Jareth? The costume, I think.
I also kind of like the makeup effect that he has. Like, his hair is like that very, like...
80s
poof feel, but it's got also, like, little highlights of blue.
He looks like a male Cruella de Vil, almost.
I wouldn't say that, but that's just me. And it's very, like, he really emphasized, like, his eyes.
That's not the only body part they emphasize on him. Let's talk about the codpiece.
Tom, that was, like, normal for a lot of guys to do. You guys are, like, phallic as fuck.
In fact, the codpiece was to help emphasize the virility of a man back in the day, I was told.
Even though a lot of women are just like...
Also, it's very interesting that this is a movie about, goblins and everything, but their king isn't a goblin, apparently.
I got a feeling like he might have taken over.
Like, what is he? Is he like a warlock or something?
I think he's either a warlock or a sorcerer.
Or is he technically a goblin, but he put a spell on himself to make him look handsome and shit?
Perhaps.
I mean, you got me right there.
I honestly feel like he took over, like, this goblin kingdom and just named himself the king, though.
He does seem the type. After all, we do see him,
He's
torturing Hoggle and everything.
Yeah, so he's very tyrannical.
Very tyrannical, yes. Even though his army is... They don't really do much, the goblins.
They get defeated by rocks.
Oh, drat. I did not know they had rocks there. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Interesting fact.
Hey, you could say they got beat by rock and roll. I'm gonna stop now.
You're dead to me, Claire.
That was good, though.
Speaking of rock music, because they got David Bowie as the main character, he did all the music on the movie also.
Yep.
Which I have the soundtrack. It is awesome. You should look it up.
Yeah, please look at the soundtrack. It is awesome.
Okay. Interesting fact. Because they got a rock star, do you know who they almost got, actually, for Jareth?
Oh.
Well, they had a few candidates. One of them was Sting from the Police. Yeah, I can see that. He's got the hair.
I kind of like how they got David, though.
And then there were other rumors that they were going to get Prince maybe to play him.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, he already looks like Jareth. But, here's an interesting fact. They almost got another person to play him.
Go.
Michael Jackson himself.
That would not...
Have been okay.
Okay.
No.
No. Oh, that would make the film so much more controversial.
Yeah.
Especially with all the trouble.
Let's not speak about that. Yeah. But besides that, favorite song in Labyrinth, what do you think?
Oh man, that would have to be a battle between two of them for me.
What was that?
Dance, Magic Dance, and As the World Falls Down, the whole masquerade ball scene.
It kind of feels a bit like a music video, but I kind of like that in this case.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the point.
You're supposed to be in this world with him, pretty much.
And
Did he technically roofie her?
More like poisoned her. I wouldn't say roofie.
Let's call it poison, yeah.
I was gonna say, what the fuck, Tom?
Just a question.
You don't need the answer for that.
I know. Yeah, those masks, though, those are pretty creepy. Kind of remind me of the Skeksis, almost, about how creepy they looked.
His mask, though, was awesome, because it's like this, like, skull, and it's his thing that's holding it is literally a skeletal hand.
A bit on the nose, don't you think?
Well, because a lot of masks like that were death masks, as they're called. Which basically showed the skeletal face of, like...
And Sarah got to live out her ultimate fantasy, dancing with a very sexy authority figure, and he's played by David Bowie.
Let's face it, girls, we've all been there before. I certainly have.
Yeah. But Dance Magic Dance is also pretty cool, because we actually get a feel about the power Jareth has over the goblins, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are nothing but playthings to him, pretty much.
Pretty much.
And it's hinted that the goblins are actually just children that he stole and made into goblins, probably.
Yep, and basically forced them to work for him.
Least favorite song, I think, is Chilly Down, actually.
Oh, God.
I like the beat, but it has no purpose in the movie.
I honestly feel like if you cut that scene out of the movie, nothing would be affected.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the puppet effects work in close-ups. But then when you put them on green screen...
That wasn't a green screen, that was blue screen.
Ooh, that makes it worse.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Yeah. But, other than that, let's talk about the creatures of this film now.
Yes.
So we'll start off with Hoggle.
Oh boy.
Literally the first scene we see him in, he's peeing.
It reminds me of those little statues you see, like at fountains.
Which
little, like, peeing statues, like the cherubs.
Which we literally see later in the film, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then... It's interesting with Hoggle, because it's a dwarf actor who played him, but they had a prosthetic puppet head on him, pretty much. Unfortunately, the actor said that it was really hard to see in that. It overheat a lot of the time.
I am not surprised. It's hard wearing, like, prosthetic heads and stuff.
I'm conflicted with Hoggle because he starts off kind of as a grouch, but we later get to see him more, and we understand that he's basically in a bit of a bind, pretty much.
Well, you can understand the situation he's in because at the same time, he wants to help Sarah, but at the same time, he doesn't want to suffer the consequences and suffer the wrath of Jareth.
And also, Jareth plays into his insecurities like, you don't think a girl like that could love a disgusting little scab like you, Hoggle?
It's basically, in my opinion, like a Beauty and the Beast scenario, where in this case, Jareth is a Gaston and Hoggle is like the Beast.
So I guess she would be Belle?
Yeah, but it's not played out like that.
Oh, thank
And I'm
God.
only putting it as a scenario, so don't get it too mixed up, Tom.
But hey, at least he finally stands up to Jareth and everything.
Oh yeah, totally. He's like, fuck this and fuck you.
Pretty much. Speaking of which, let's then talk about another thing in this film, Ludo.
Yes.
He's basically kind of like a more hairy version of the Balrog.
I got more orangutan feel.
Apparently, according to
Or
Jim...
like a giant, like, extinct sloth.
Well, according to Jim Henson, he's supposed to be a troll, apparently. Or something like that. Or even an ogre.
Why orange?
It's a Jim Henson film. You know it's going to be weird. And then we get one of the most annoying characters in this film, Sir Didymus.
Oh god. Do they really have to have this guy in?
I get it, he's
so bad.
He's supposed to be like a knight, kind of Don Quixote kind of thing. But he kind of gets everyone into trouble on his constant fighting, pretty much.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh god.
But hey.
But the noble steed, though.
Which is basically her dog?
Yeah. It's her dog.
Is she not going to question that at all?
Dream.
Okay, whatever. But besides that, let's also talk about another aspect of this, the creature designs on the goblins.
Yes.
I kind of like the designs here. They didn't go for one type of thing, pretty much.
They went for, like, multiple different looks, because goblins don't look all the same.
They kind of remind me of those things from Sleeping Beauty, those things that Maleficent controlled, you know?
Oh, yeah, those things.
They're like, I don't know, are they goblins? I thought they were orcs.
They're orcs.
Or something like that.
But, yeah, they're not goblins.
I always wonder, what is the difference between a goblin and an orc?
Well, most goblins can't go out in sunlight.
I guess, and orcs are okay, I guess. I think it really depends on height advantage.
Maybe, but they're still pretty short.
They're pretty short, but they also get defeated by rocks, so what do I know?
Again, the rock pun I made earlier.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Yeah. But then we also get some other weird creatures here, like the worm thingy.
Oh, the little worm guy. He was adorable.
Kind sorry, I not couple with the missus.
Unfortunately, he led her further into the maze, and he's like, if she went the other way, she would have gone straight to the castle. I'm like,
Little worm bastard.
I'm like, you little fucker.
Yeah.
Maybe you get squished by a boot.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, really though, he is adorable.
And then we have those, what are those? Those fire things? I don't know.
Fire things?
You know, the guys that did the Chili Down song.
Oh god, those things.
Yeah, we'll skip those.
Yeah, those are...
Not important.
Again, my emphasis, if they were cut out of the movie, like, nothing would have been affected.
And then there's those door guard things.
Oh yeah, like the door things that one tells the truth and one lies. But that's the thing though, it's an easily solvable door. It's like the first one that's telling the instructions is the one telling the truth.
Ah, ruined that scene for you.
So, so it's like, well, you're the obvious one telling the truth.
But no, then we get her going for the wrong door and she gets attacked by those helping hands. Like, we're helping hands.
That was a neat sequence. Can
Those
you imagine if they were glowing in the dark and they were all different colors?
That'd be nice. They basically use a bunch of guys' hands together kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a really cool effect.
Although, be careful where you put in those hands, man.
I'm like, watch where you're grabbing.
Nah,
It's like Scorny Weaver's like, yeah, tell me about it. Oh boy.
And then we get those stone-faced guys talking. Turn back now.
And like, Hoggle's like, he's like, don't.
He's like, oh.
Or he's like, oh, shut up.
Well, sure, just doing my job here.
Well, you don't have to do it on us.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what happens to actors that break the fourth wall. They literally become walls. Ryan Reynolds is one of those walls, I'm pretty sure. Again, I really do dig the design of the Labyrinth, man. It kind of feels like a giant city or world just trapped in there, pretty much.
And basically, the only way to get out is to go through it.
Pretty much. Again, Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, I remember, like, at the beginning of the Labyrinth, before Sarah goes in, there's those little tiny fairies that Hoggle was spraying.
Apparently they're little asshole fairies, though.
What? Not all fairies are good.
Tell me about it. And then we get those weird creatures with the garbage on their backs and everything.
Hoarders for the win.
And one of them sort of sounds like the Chamberlain from Dark Crystal. Get your thing now, dearie. Hmm?
Please make it stop.
That's another film for another time.
God damn it.
Actually, there's surprisingly a lot of weird, goofy stuff, but that's the point when you got Terry Jones writing the script.
Well, that's the thing. It's supposed to be... Excuse me. It's supposed to be, like, mystical, whimsical, and fantasy.
You gotta love films in the 80s, man.
They knew what they were doing.
They know how to give us both dark and whimsical at the same time.
Like, I don't, like, mind, like, some fantasy films now, but they just, in my opinion, don't really capture the same feeling.
There's a few here and there, but those are mostly just homages to the movies.
That's true, yeah.
I think the scene that confirmed the goofy and dark tone of this film was the scene where Jareth is disguised as that one puppet guy.
I was like, what do we have here?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing? Nothing? Tra-la-la? Tra-la-la?
I don't
What were
know.
you doing?
I like to think they just said to David, just have fun with this script, dude.
You know, he kind of reminds me of Draco Malfoy's father, the look.
In fact, are we sure these guys aren't related?
Hmm.
And as a matter of fact, they also kind of look like that elven dude from The Hobbit, Legolas's dad. Just wink wink, nudge nudge, say no more. Maybe they're brothers, who knows?
What would they be called? The blonde bitches?
Blonde bitches. You should write that down. Blonde bitches coming to a studios near you.
Anyways, let's refocus here.
Okay. So, now we gotta talk about the ending, pretty much, where she finally confronts Jareth.
It's basically that part of the book she was reading or reenacting in the park before it all happened.
So, was there like a play she was in?
I have a feeling that she was part of a play, or she was reenacting her favorite book
Maybe.
in the park.
Or something like that.
It's basically on finishing what you started.
Which I'm wondering, what's the name of that play she's in, I wonder? Is it that other Goblin thing that came out in the 80s? What was it called?
There was another film in the 80s that came out, and it was called The Princess and the Goblin. It was based on a book, which was later then adapted to a theater production, which then had a animated movie based on that. We'll talk about it another time, but I'd love to talk about it.
So, basically, he's trying to convince her to stay, but she has to realize to move on, basically.
Yeah, and he realizes that if she stays, that he's won. But if she realizes that if she gives in, she loses everything. And it's like that final, like, balance where when one side tilts, the other will fall.
Kind of, yeah. And then he turns to an owl.
What?
I don't know. But hey, at least that's not the only Hogwarts reference we got, remember?
Oh yeah, he's like, why, do you want to get sued?
Yeah, like, thanks for nothing, Hogwarts. It's Hoggle.
He should have said, it's Hoggle. God, do you want to get sued?
Yeah. Okay, final thoughts on the film.
I love this film, even with the, like, things that I have a problem with. Again, the whole chilly down and those creatures. Again, if you cut that out of the movie, no effect would happen. And maybe make Sarah, like, less, like, annoying. Maybe more reluctant and, like, trying to, like, define, like, if this is all real or if it's a fake kind of thing. So, again, I really love it. So I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
Okay. Well, like I say, I really do dig the whole imagination of both Jim Henson, George Lucas, and Terry Jones. I feel like they complement each other very beautifully in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like maybe if they gave more of a motivation for Sarah, that could have worked. And if they cut maybe some of the filler scenes out, that would have helped.
Yeah.
Do you know what? David Bowie's got so much charisma like pouring out of his ass that it makes this movie worth it.
Totally.
So I have to give this film an 8 out of 10, pretty much.
Nice.
Okay. Glad you guys made it with us this far.
That's true.
So, if you like this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for notifications. And if you want to see any more of our content, you can look us up on our social medias like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever we got.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody wants any more videos, where can they look for us?
Or they can look for us on our YouTube channel and they can suggest more in the comments.
Pretty much. Be good people, folks.
You know, this reminds me of the Babe.
What, babe?
The Babe with the power.
What power?
The power of voodoo.
Do.
You do.
Do what?
Remind me of the Babe.
We're not going to sing, folks. Don't think about that.
Bye-bye.